So Enemy is directed by the man who made Prisoners, which was my favorite film of last year. Thus, I am extremely excited to tell you guys what I think about this one. Enemy is directed by Denis Villeneuve. I'm a dumb American and I'm trying, guys. As I said in my intro, this comes from the director of Prisoners, and this movie also stars Jake Gyllenhaal. Although this movie was actually made directly before Prisoners, it's a much smaller film. It's about a man who's a history teacher, Jake Gyllenhaal, and one day a coworker recommends that he watches this movie, so he rents it, and as he's watching this movie, he is convinced that one of the actors in the film looks exactly like him. In fact, he does. It's his exact look-alike. So he sets out on this journey to try to find this man and figure out exactly who he is, figure out what this guy's doing, because, I mean, it is Jake Gyllenhaal playing both characters, so the resemblance is obviously uncanny. And this starts him on a path of psychological tension, surreal, dreamlike imagery, and a really great movie. Before I go any farther, I should say that Enemy is not your stereotypical type film. This is not a film that follows your traditional linear structure of filmmaking. It has absolutely nothing traditional about it. If you walk into this movie expecting a beginning and a middle and an end and everything to be all cohesive and understandable on that first viewing, you're gonna be disappointed, because this is the type of movie that as soon as it ends, you're like, okay, I need to research this now, I need to go online and see what other people are saying, I need to listen to people's theories, I need to figure out what was going on in this certain scene, I want to talk about this movie. And that's exactly the type of movie that I love, a movie that promotes discussion amongst film nerds, you know, where after you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, what did you think of that scene? What do you think that means? What do you think that means? Because everyone I've talked to after seeing this movie has had the exact same type of reaction, where they just want to know my interpretation of something. And that's the type of movie this is, and I think it's a very good thing. This is an excellent looking movie. It is shot beautifully. The score for this film was fantastic. It was so eerie and subdued, but then there were times where it just exploded, and it really helped this movie as well to be this sort of Hitchcockian, dreamlike, almost sort of like Vertigo in a way. If I were to compare this to another film, I would say it's kind of like Only God Forgives combined with Vertigo, except Vertigo was a little more traditional, straightforward storytelling. Only God Forgives had way more violence than this movie has, but it has Only God Forgives sort of dreamlike quality to it, and Vertigo's tension, that all wrapped up into one, really feels like Enemy. Jake Gyllenhaal's terrific in this movie. He really did such a great job playing both roles, because you really started to be like, what is this? Like, you have ideas. As the movie rolls along, you can kind of start to connect things. It's not a movie that has like a giant revelation where you're like, oh, you know what I mean? I didn't want it to be like that either, because I didn't want some big stupid twist. I didn't want some big moment where you're like, yeah, I saw that coming a million miles away. As the movie progresses, you are slowly able to figure out what is going on. And as that starts to happen, it really started to affect me. I really started to get more frightened and more disturbed by this guy's plight, because the way the film was made was so disturbingly haunting at times. Certain imagery that was in this movie involving spiders really freaked me out. And I'm telling you, this movie has something about it that I think is going to be discussed for many years. I can't quite say this is the next this or this is the next that. All I'm saying is that Enemy is a film that people are going to be talking about after they see it. It's a very impressive movie. It's beautifully shot. It's wonderfully acted, and it has such a small story. But as that story starts to grow and expand, you really, really get invested in what this guy's doing. But like I said, not a traditional movie, so don't walk into this movie expecting one. This is actually going to be my next analyzed review, because I really want to delve deep into this movie, but I'm going to wait until after it's released so more people can see it, because there's no way that I want to spoil some of the things that happen in this movie. My only issues with the film are that, due to the fact that it is so different and a little bit hard to grasp at times, I think sometimes that takes away from the enjoyment of the movie. Nevertheless, Enemy is a film that I think you should see, especially if you are a film lover or someone who wants to learn about directing or writing or acting. This is a very interesting movie, and I can't wait to see what else Denis Villeneuve, I'm trying, does. I'm going to give Enemy an A. I think it's the best film I've seen so far in 2014, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be on my list towards the end of this year. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm looking forward to when more people can see this movie and talk about it, and when you guys can see it. As always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmannized.